Begin with the consent agenda, which is consent and approval of the July 1st, 2021 DHRC meeting minutes. Everybody's had a chance to look over those via the email. If anybody has any corrections, let us know. And if you don't, I will entertain a motion to approve as written.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so we had Mazur make a motion and Mr. Thomas to second. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Move along to the regular agenda, and we begin with case RCC 21-04, 610 West Avenue C.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Fisher, Chief Planner. This is our first case today, 610 West Avenue C. It's a single-family residence that's been there a long time. The Sugg home, which is historical, is immediately to the east. Most of y'all are familiar with that one. So it's the house just to the west of the Suggs that is in the case today. And what they want to do is just make some additions to the home. They still want to preserve the main structure of the house, but just add on to it. This is District 5, Lane Carter, in the Santa Rita neighborhood. This is looking at the floor plan and the site plan. So the first thing that they're doing is they're adding a garage along the side of the front of the house and a breezeway. So that's the first thing. Second thing, they're replacing their siding with board and batten siding. So it's almost the same and just basically an upgrade. I'm going to keep moving here. Towards the back, there was a glassed canopy. They're taking off the glass, but they're keeping the canopy, so it's going to be an outdoor canopy. The house will remain painted white, as you can see the exterior of the building, so nothing's going to change. The new garage will be brick, and I'd say the house is probably about 60-40 brick and siding, so the garage will be all brick. And then one of the kitchen area will be replaced, I believe, with doors. So those are the four of the 5 improvements in the staff report. The 5th is going to be an outdoor kitchen, so they're going to have a fireplace at the back with a rock wall, kind of curves around, and then I guess add some tables and furniture. So you all approve this today, they'll be able to move forward with a building permit. So this is looking at a photo from the east, the front of the home. So essentially what they're going to do is they're going to extend the garage, so this area will come out towards the driveway. This is looking at the east on the front, south, and north. And so this is the river view. So basically that second improvement I mentioned, that glass will come off, but they'll still preserve the canopy. So staff is recommending approval. The new brick on the garage and the home additions will match the existing quality brick construction that's already on the house. The outdoor patio and removal of the glass, which is very outdated and deteriorated when the couple bought the home. This will be an upgrade to the rear of the property facing the river. They can look out. New doors on the west side of the former kitchen will enhance the side of the home. The outdoor kitchen rock wall is a high quality material similar to the other outdoor structures. And the Suggs and some other properties there on the river have those kind of outdoor structures. Neutral colors are consistent with the existing home surrounding area and in accordance with the River Quarter Master Plan. So 3 conditions of approval we're recommending. In your staff report, colors, dimensions, and materials are consistent with what if you approve this today. Applicant shall obtain all required permits from the Permits and Inspections Division, and all buildings and structures, including additions, must comply with zoning setbacks and development standards. Originally, they had an addition that was going to extend into the setback. They've chose to scale that back, so it shouldn't have a problem meeting the setbacks. It's a large lot. This concludes staff's presentation. Any questions or comments?
Anybody have anything for staff?
No, I think they did a good job on the plans. I think it's going to fit in the neighborhood real well and be a good improvement to that area.
Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. And if there's not any, one last chance for commissioners to ask staff questions. And if there's not any questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, and thanks for participating in the process, and we'll move on to the next case, RCC 21-05, 203 North Abe Street.
Okay, so this is 8.59 acres in District 3, the downtown neighborhood. This is the All-American Chevrolet. They applied for a zoning board variance last month, and it was tabled. There were some issues on the easements, locations, and a water line and some sewer lines that run through the property, and so they're working that out. But today, y'all's decision is just looking at the colors and materials. If through further determination, they may have to scale back some of their canopy locations, but again, the general concept will match what I'm about to show you. So this is the concept plan. So right now, they have a lot of vehicles for sale and for storage, and with hail and inclement weather, can cause a lot of damage to the cars, so having those canopy structures, and we see them a lot in different parts of town. These are some of the details that they provided to us. So I believe it'll be 7 feet, 6 inches clear, and you see the different types of structures. The color, the structural supports will be a dark silver gray, and then the canopy cover will be gray, so it'll be similar to that bottom picture, and that's consistent with what the color is on the main building. These are looking at some of the photos. So again, high-quality steel construction, and polyethylene fabric will be the canopy cover material. That's consistent with the River Corridor Master Plan. And then neutral gray color, again, is nothing too flashy along Bryant, but consistent with what you see out there. Staff's recommending approval of the case subject to 3 conditions. Again, colors, dimensions, and materials are consistent with what you all approve. The applicants obtain permits. Number 3, all canopies must comply with zoning setbacks. So that was one issue that they're working out, is that there is a 20-foot easement there. In the zoning board meeting, the staff didn't want to support the variance on Bryant, so we want that full 25 feet. And then on First Street, we were willing to go down to 20, which is just outside of the easement. So again, that's still pending, but not for y'all to be concerned about. Just some notes. There was a piece of the unplatted property that they're, again, working that out. There's a little piece on the northwest that they own, but hasn't been part of that plat, so they'll fix that. No canopy or other structure may be erected within the site triangle at the corner. And again, the water main issue, and then all off-street parking of vehicles shall comply with the standards in the zoning ordinance. This concludes staff's presentation. Any questions?
Just curious, is this about the same material that they use at All American Dodge out in Sherwood Way?
I believe so, and the applicant is here today to answer any specific questions on the structure and the materials.
Well, that's survived, it's been up for 2 or 3 years, I guess, now. And gone through some hailstorms and so forth. I guess it's working all right.
All right, are there any other questions for staff? Any public comment at this time? If not, and there's no, okay, if I can have you state your name for the record before we get started, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. My name's Cassandra Huggins, and I'm with Dynamic Engineering. We assist with permitting these structures all over the state of Texas, as well as other adjoining states. We work closely with the Lithia team, whose ownership, as well as VPS, the hail canopy manufacturer and installer. On this specific dealership, we are looking to install the 4-post unit as well as the cantilever structure. As Jeff had mentioned, there is going to be an HDPE mesh fabric as well as a powder-coated steel engineered structure. We are working out a couple items as far as the site plan, but we're going through the proper building process and coordinating with engineering to avoid conflicts with utilities. So if you guys want to take a look at the samples, we have the silver gray in the back of the pamphlet here. But other than that, I'm here for any questions. Unfortunately, sir, I am unfamiliar if that is the same dealership. We assist with the permitting aspect, but you'll see these structures all over town, so.
I have a question, just curious, are those fire rated, the canopy covers?
Yeah, so the HDPE mesh, we have flame certificates, and it goes up to the highest flame level
Yeah, okay.
that we
my
submit
only
through
question.
building permit and fire.
I have a question. It's going to be silver or gray. Will there be any reflective? Or be the southbound traffic coming towards Fort Boulevard? But will it have any shimmer or shine?
There.
If it's gray, maybe not, but if it's sort of a silver.
Yeah, so this is the fabric here. There is the UV reflective a bit, but it is generally matte.
Have y'all installed it at other locations throughout?
Yes, sir. Not had any previous issues with, you know,
Yeah, it doesn't look
sight
shiny
lines.
or anything. It looks like a flat gray.
Right, more of a matte.
Okay,
Any questions?
anything else? Anything for staff? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve or
Make a
deny.
motion to approve.
Okay, that would
I
be
second it.
Mr. James and Mr. Mazur. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And we'll move to case number 3. DD 21-11, 19 West Beauregard Avenue.
Good morning, Zach Rainbow, Planning and Development Services. This is a request on 19 West Beauregard to approve a cornice and some front tiling in front of the door. It's Zone Central Business, District 3, Harry Thomas. It's going to be a high-quality copper cornice found on historic and older buildings. Color of the cornice and the front tiling consistent with other neutral colors found in the downtown area. Copper will oxidize over time and blend with other building colors. These were submitted by the applicant. That is the cornice they're proposing to use. The tile will go in front of the door. It is a black color, as you see on your right there. Staff is recommending approval for the cornice, subject to 2 conditions. These are typical conditions as just mentioned in the previous cases. And staff, again, is recommending approval, and with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I'll go back so y'all can have their view.
I guess when they put the tile on, it'll be flush with the concrete when it's
I
finished?
believe so, and I believe the applicants are here to speak to that. I would assume so, being that
It doesn't look very
they're going to
thick.
walk on it. And the tile does not encroach into the right-of-way. It stays just in front of the door there.
So it's the tiles on the floor?
Correct.
Ground, okay. It's ceramic?
I'm not sure.
That tile? Yeah, it's some kind of ceramic tile,
That's
penny
it.
tile.
Let's see. It doesn't say, but the applicant may be able to answer that for you.
If it's is it a matte finish or a gloss finish, or so it's not slippery if it gets wet?
Yes, it's
Coming in.
I believe it's a matte finish, painted black, will match the canopy color. Pre-finished hardboard and masonite used on the exterior, same as exterior building materials.
And my question on the tiles, just is it outdoor rated?
I believe so. I would assume so, but the applicant could answer that.
Does this particular building, I used to have an interest in it, does it have, is it historical?
It is not historical, however, it has received design and historic review approval for remodeling in January of 2020, which included the front canopy, and then received administrative approval by the planning director for paint color for the first floor facade. But I do not believe it's historical.
Okay, if there's no further questions for staff, you want to bring the applicants up so they can answer any questions about the tile that they're able to? Oh, I'm misunderstood. I thought you said they were here. Okay, well, I'll open it up for public comment. Any member of the public who wishes to come forward and speak on the issue? And if not, any further discussion?
No? I'll make a motion to approve
A second.
as presented.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we'll move on to DD 21-12-20, it's for 23 West Beauregard Avenue.
Okay. Zach Rainbow, Planning and Development Services. Again, this is DD 2112, 23 West Beauregard. This is a request for approval of an awning in the Central Business District. Here's the architectural renderings submitted by the applicant. The awning information, it'll be 13 feet above the sidewalk, 4 foot 3 inches in depth. Steel frame with black matte paint. Same builder as 19 West, the previous case we just looked at, West Beauregard's awning. Here's a similar awning that we just saw. Not sure that picture didn't show up. Staff is recommending approval for the request of the awning, subject to the 3 conditions as previously stated, the main one being the colors, dimensions, and materials shall be consistent with anything that's approved today. There's some pictures over there I gave Mr. Mazur. If y'all have any questions on what the front of the building currently looks like, it's a flat black finish as it currently sits. Wish I had a better picture, but with that, staff is recommending approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I've got some questions. Are there gonna be lights under the canopy? Because there's no lights on the building at all, on the front.
Good question.
Let's see.
It doesn't show anything on the plan.
I don't believe there are, but that,
Okay, I would think it would need lighting for pedestrian traffic. And then the other question I have, what's the material gonna be up underneath the deck? What is it? It doesn't show, it doesn't say, does it say on there? I can't see it. Is it gonna just be an open sea purlin or what?
that's what it looks like. Yes, sir.
With just metal? Just a metal roof on the top?
I believe. Wow.
Will it be the same people installing that's doing the 19?
Correct.
So same material?
Same materials, correct.
Well, the reason I have a question about that, because the one that was built to the right of that, you know, I know we're real particular about the way everything is fabricated and looks, and those awnings are supposed to be fire rated all the way through, and the building to that building there actually has 116 car siding under it, which is wood, which does not comply to fire code in the downtown area. So that's my concern about, I don't know how that one got passed, because that awning is also like 01, but they have plaster underneath. And even canvas awnings and all that we approve, they have to be fire rated. There has to be a certain fire rating stamp on those. So that building there is just been done. And that's why I was gonna ask staff, I was gonna bring this after the deal, is how did they get by with putting 116 car siding under that deck?
We
It's
can,
not fire rated.
yes, sir. We can check that after the meeting and see how that was approved. And similar to Zach's, this subject case, they do have to go through the building permit process. So if there's a IBC provision for fire rating,
I mean,
they
'cause I
should
know
catch that.
we try to be as particular as we can to see every detail on the plan.
Yep.
And so I don't know if that was never shown to us when that was approved, but I don't think we need to set a precedence here when that's not the rule. And I've talked to the fire marshal about it, and, you know, they put you back on building, so
We will
I think we
certainly,
need to, that's why I'm so particular about getting so much information on these things, because there's a lot of things that get run through, and then we look at them later, and they're not up to code.
we will certainly bring that, when we process the building permit, we will bring that to their attention and your concerns and make sure those are
I
addressed.
mean, somebody missed it somewhere down the line.
Certainly, and we'll do a better job this time and make sure that those issues are addressed.
I think his idea of preparing for electrical, is a good idea. And will the city be looking at this in future deals? And I realize not all of this is a tall two-story building, at 19 West Beauregard. Can answer for that, but we had last meeting with somebody was gonna alter their canopy, and we brought up about whether or not that would sort of be consistent, at least in that area. So will there be measured? That's just something for the future, but whenever they do, when will they sort of be consistent as best they can? I realize that won't be possible from one-story to two-story buildings, but,
Right, we'll certainly make sure that it matches as best possible.
now, I may be wrong and think of that, but.
No, I think you're right. I just think that for pedestrian traffic, it needs to have some lighting under it, because there's no lighting on the front of the building at all, or it doesn't show it.
I keep
So
thinking about
I don't like to approve something when I don't have a
Exactly.
totally detailed plan.
And I hadn't paid that much attention to Fredericksburg. When you walk down through there, they've got a canopy.
Yeah, the other building has lights under it,
Yeah.
so.
That brings up another, I mean, what are the, do we have, you know, I don't know what the standards are here in this committee, but I mean, this lighting question's come up a few times. Is lighting required?
It is not required, but I believe that is a condition you all could,
I think we should
No, you're
just-
right, it's not required, but that's what the purpose of this board is,
Yeah.
to make, you
So
know,
it
to
comes
make
up
recommendations
time after time,
for.
I think we should maybe, could we make that a new standard that lighting is required?
I think it needs to be.
For all of these that come through here.
I agree.
that could
It's
be
a
a,
simple thing,
That's
could
not
be
a
like an
major deal
amendment.
either.
that could be a condition of approval if y'all chose.
Yeah.
I think so. This comes up a lot. How do we continue?
And the applicants are here to speak on this one,
Okay.
so.
I'm just talking in general.
Right.
For our own, you know.
Right, I see your concern,
Standards.
it's certainly a good point.
Okay, are all the commissioners ready for the applicants to come forward and ask them about these things?
Yes.
Okay, let's bring you guys up, please.
Howdy, I'm Daniel Hare with Hare Services, and I did the steel construction on 19 West Beauregard. I didn't do any of the wood construction or the underpinning or any of those
Okay,
kinds of things.
sure.
But I'm happy to make any
Yeah, I mean,
comments.
you did a nice job on it. I mean, that's just my concern. I think, you know, I don't want to approve this and then they come in and put
Wood up underneath there.
wood up there or something like that when it's not, you know, we need, that's why I need to, we need to see the total project start to finish.
Yeah.
You know, and they're coming in after it and doing these things to it, and then it's too late. Then what do you do? So, my thinking is, I would like to have this table till I get more information. I need to see what kind of material they're gonna put up under there. Are they gonna leave it open like that? Then
It's
you're
gonna be
have-
open as of right now,
You're
yes,
gonna
sir.
have birds and stuff and building
It's-
nests and everything up there like that?
It's gonna be 2x6 rectangular tubing, so it'll be
Yes.
solid. So there won't be anywhere for a bird to make a nest in there.
Okay. And then what's gonna be on the upper deck? Just some
Sheet metal-
R panel or
R panel.
something? R panel? I think it needs to have lights in it. I think, that's just my thought. I think lights would be a nice addition and just aesthetically, I would like to see some kind of ceiling put in it. I think it just
Yeah,
looks
you have-
unfinished.
you could
I mean,
have
if we're
50.
trying to keep downtown looking nice and keep it consistent, I think it needs to have some kind of ceiling in it.
What are ceiling options, David, that you would put in? Like, what are some of the ceiling options?
I mean, they could plaster it, they could put, you know, you'd have to,
Fire-
you could put a
fire
hardy board on it, something,
Yeah,
you know,
and
that,
it wouldn't be out of
you
the
know,
question.
that wood
Expensive.
is not
Can't do
fire
wood.
rated,
Yeah.
so. You know, that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I think it has a really unfinished look.
Okay. I'm happy to go back to the owner and present those ideas of a hardy board or a non-wood option of an underpinning that would finish it out.
If that's,
And
well, you know, that's just my opinion, whatever the other board thinks, that's,
If you're
I think it
building-
needs lighting put under it.
If you're building a canopy for a pedestrian, if they walk under it and birds are up there and build nests, and there can be another problem that conducive to that, that's not good.
Right, yes, sir, and that's exactly why I don't like using C-purlin in those kinds of situations. It's something that's solid and there's nowhere for a bird to make a nest inside of.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, but, you know, if you run the lights and you'll have to run it in conduit, but you'll see all that, it just, you know, like I said, I'm just throwing this out to the board.
Yeah.
I think personally it would look better if it had a finished ceiling, they could put some recessed cans under or some kind of hang light or something on it to make the front of it look better, either that or put lights on the building, there's nothing on it. You know, I don't know if they're planning on that, or it's not on there, when we did the original DHRC on there was nothing for lighting or anything like that, so.
Yeah, it doesn't follow the aesthetics of anything downtown, really. I mean, it's just blank, it's open, it's unfinished, I think.
Okay.
Columns look good though, I like your columns.
Well, thank you. And the columns match the 19 West Beauregard, and the general theme matches. And there's a building between 19 and 23. And we were matching the height of
Yeah, I
that
think-
building next door.
I think, oh, that's great, y'all did a great job.
That's good.
Just needs a little
Just like to
finish
see a
work.
little bit more finish out of it, but
Okay.
like I said, that's,
Are there any other
Whatever the
members
board
of the
thinks.
public that would, thank you for coming up. Any other members of the public that want to come forward with any commentary? And if not, okay, so you want to make a motion to table?
That would be my thought. I'd like to make a motion to table to get a little more information, maybe have them put lighting in it, and try to do a finished ceiling in it.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, staff, that's where we leave that one. At this time, we'd go to a division report, if there is one.
We don't have anything other than Kyle, our new planner. We have another new planner we've hired. He starts on the 1st as well, so we will be fully staffed. But other than that, we're going along good.
Okay. Well, we'll leave you with announcements. The next regular meeting of the DHRC.
I have
Oh.
a few comments that I'd like to make and a few questions for staff.
Okay.
I drive around downtown San Angelo a lot. I look at everything. I noticed a building at 125 South Irving that is being painted right now, and I don't, unless y'all did it administratively, it never came before this board.
We can take a look into that, and we are being more assertive as a department and as a city to try to flag those things.
I mean, I know there's
Sure.
no enforcement that goes around, and I don't want to be I don't feel like I'm the DHRC police, but, I do a lot of stuff downtown, so I notice a lot of things.
I agree with you. It seems like there's a lot of stuff that's being done that.
Yeah,
that
and
I know has not come before
yeah,
us.
so like I said, I don't want y'all to think I'm picking on things,
No,
but
you're
I think a
right.
lot of that, people just don't know the rules on a lot of it. There's also another property at the corner of Oaks and Allen Street that they've gone in and painted it, and I've checked, and it is in the DHRC zone, and they did window coverings and all kinds of stuff. It's a Spanish retail store right now, but it's finished, they're opened, and that never came before the board.
We
I
can
mean, is it-
investigate that.
Do what?
We can investigate those
It's
two
like in the
properties.
300 block, it's right, once you get past, it used to be the model linen laundry place is what it was.
Now, once upon a time, a paint job didn't have to get a permit, so it didn't come before this board.
You're
Did we
right.
change that in the last group of changes or not?
Yes, we
Yeah,
did,
now
and we just wanted to
so.
note, if the only improvement is paint, and our planning director has the option to approve administratively, so in most cases, you wouldn't see it anyway, but we will
That's
still
the reason
follow
I
up.
bring it up. I don't know if some of these
Yeah.
properties are done administratively, I'm just trying to bring it up to y'all, maybe you don't see it, or y'all I don't know.
No,
My
we
next
appreciate
question
that.
is when the River Terrace was painted, that was done without DHRC approval, and I just have a question about what are the repercussions? What happens? They painted an 8-story building, a whole different color that wasn't approved. They just get a slap on the wrist? Is there any enforcement that we have it just seems like you just go, oh, well,
No, we would follow up with them, and we'd give them, a time frame to bring it into compliance and submit an application.
what is so all it is just, they just gotta go ahead and apply for it and and so what if they painted a color that nobody approves and they gotta go in and
We would look at the color,
$10,000 to paint it again? I mean, is there, okay, I mean,
we would look at the color palette and the master plan to see if it's one of the complementary colors.
so
And
what
then if-
happened on that? Did it get approved administratively?
Which
The
which
River
property?
Terrace?
I believe it did not, and I believe that's on our list to investigate.
Okay, I mean, because it's already painted, and I brought it up a month ago to y'all, and I thought, well, maybe they'd stop, but they just kept painting. So,
Okay,
curious.
we'll follow up.
Okay, and then like I said, I've got another question. We did a DHRC at 109 North Chadbourne Street. They brought in the first plan, we approved it, then they came in and did a revised plan, and it was approved. And now I was driving by and looked up their deal, and they didn't follow the plan on the second plan that we approved. And it's already done. They put lighting up, the transom's different. It just seems like there's nobody watching what goes on, you know, I don't know if the staff is not telling them, look, when you submit a plan to us, you have to follow it to the letter of the law, because they're just not. You know, the lighting is totally different, the doors are different, so, and they're done, so what happens now?
So what is
I mean,
the
you're gonna
point?
make them go in and
Yeah.
tear it all back out, so why are we so specific
I-
on everything we have to look at, and then when they do it, it's not even what we approve? That's what is frustrating to me.
Do the permit office, let's assume.
They don't look at that, no, they don't look at that. I
Pass
don't,
that on over to the.
yeah, I'm just thinking that when they come to y'all, I mean, that's the only thing I can figure is the staff needs to say, look, this is the letter of the law, this is the drawing you did, this is exactly what it has to be, this is what was approved. And a lot of it's not. They're just doing whatever they want to do, so.
So if they need a permit, they'll come in and submit construction plans and get the permit issued after
Yes.
this meeting. That would be step
Well,
two.
I understand that. The only
And-
time y'all look
yeah.
at it though is at the very end, when the permit is finalized out. But then it's too
Correct.
late, because nothing is the same.
Well, what we would do is we would go out from different departments, and if it didn't match the color and material that was approved before they issue a CO, we would ask them to fix it. So we just
Okay.
need to investigate and see how these got
Okay,
got
well,
through.
that's my only question. It just seemed like I mean, I don't know how this would work. It just seemed like it'd be nice if we had somebody who could kind of go out and check as construction is proceeding to help a lot of people like that, because they don't know. Either that, or we just, when y'all are talking to them, you need to really be specific, saying that you cannot change anything on that plan unless you come back to us on it. I think that would solve problems, because now, if you go back later, they're gonna be upset, you know, because they're like, well, we didn't think it was that big a deal to change it, but then what's the purpose of this board if they're not gonna do what?
Well, certainly, I mean,
recommend.
because then you're penalizing people who follow the rules. The people that come before the board and they go through the process and they
Exactly,
do
yeah.
what's supposed to be
I mean,
done.
I do a lot of them, and it seems like, man, I get hammered on them. I mean, and then these other people are just whatever, and then it just, nothing's ever said. So that's my only.
And I'll make
thought.
sure we do a better job of following up on these things, to make sure that
I mean, I think that's the purpose of this board. I think that's the reason we're here, to make sure things are done the way we all agree on.
And then I want to ask real quick too, again, about, you know, whatever, I just don't remember, it's been a while since I've looked at all the paperwork, but just the standards. How do we introduce new standards? Like, do we want to have, you know, awnings having standard minimum and maximum heights? Do we want to say that?
Yeah, there's a minimum 9 foot on those.
Okay.
That's the minimum,
I just
has to
wonder if we
be.
need to, you know, and how we would go about amending and, you know, requiring lighting. How does that?
Yeah, so there's two processes. So there's the construction standards under the building code that they have to follow, so certain clearances and structural formats. And then there's our part, which is planning looks at design. And so there are some policies on canopies, in particular if you're in the downtown area, in our River Corridor master plan that we apply to those 3 districts right now. So anything that's not generally consistent with those policies, we would recommend changes. And again, if you know, you all think, hey, we should add lighting, or we kind of work together collaboratively like we did today, they can come back and then make those changes.
So it's still case by case then, we can't just say from now on, we just really require lighting on any kind of improvement.
Well, right, what we could do is long-term, and I think we've talked about this previously, a few years back when we added the downtown district and the cultural district, is to look at more specific policies. I think that right now we're kind of staying, and I think they're fairly specific. They're not really tight, like you must or you must not, because it's not really zoning. But I know long-term, we're looking at bringing in some more standards, and not just the River Corridor plan, but maybe now that there's 3 districts, there'll be, for example, 3 different sets of standards where you are.
But so if we wanted to, since we have an example right in front of us, if we wanted to say awnings need to have some kind of underlighting for pedestrians, are we not able to send that back through you to council or somewhere to get it added? Because it seems to me like if that's what we're going to want, then that should be in writing somewhere so the applicants know in advance, so you guys can tell them.
Yes,
I
and that's,
agree.
that's
That's
the
a good
third
idea.
way, is like what you're doing now, where you can, you don't, it doesn't have to say something specific in the ordinance. You can add that, you have the power as the board to add those conditions with lighting if you believe that's important. So that would be in the approval letter. We would send that out to the applicant. We would copy permits on it when they come in for their permit. We would have to make sure that the colors and materials or the lighting matches what y'all approved.
But you're saying the applicants will be told that that's what we're going to expect when we get here? Because my point is, I don't want to cause additional delays to people. If that's the way it's going to be, they have a right to know that while they're putting these plans together and working with you guys. So shouldn't it be written in?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that should be something y'all should tell them. Look, the board is gonna really push.
We're just being
on having
reactive and not
lighting.
proactive at all. And it holds people up, and that's when they get frustrated, and, you know, I can understand it.
So isn't there a process by which that, I mean, we just did it with those other rules. Can't we send this to council and say, hey, we believe this should be added, and ask them to read it into the master plan or whatever you do?
Yeah, if there's, we'd have to go through, like it's a very lengthy document, and there's different sections that apply to different parts of town. So we would have to go through, I know just from experience, there are specific policies on canopies and specific policies on lighting. However, I'll admit, in some cases, it is a little bit open, and that's just to allow flexibility for builders so that it's, again, because what happens in Santa Rita might be very different than what happens downtown. But there are those policies in there, and if it's not as specific, yes, we would have to bring something back, sure. Or you could add it as a condition, you know, later on.
Okay.
I have another question for staff. Is there any way that y'all could give us a report that says when y'all do stuff administratively, you know, is there any way that could be sent to us once a month before we get that? I mean, that way if I'm driving around like I do and I see things, I'm like, oh, wow, I can check that list. Well, they already did it. Then I don't feel like I have to bring it up, or is that something y'all could do? Because we don't know, you know, if you let that paint job go administrative, we don't know a lot of that. And I think that would, for me, would help. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to be the policeman about this, but
You're right there.
But it'd be nice to know what y'all do administratively that we don't know what you're doing.
I think we could, I mean, yeah, we could look into doing that as a courtesy since it is public record. So if you all want to be copied on administrative decisions, I mean, we can.
Because it's not public, there's nowhere I can look that up, is it? That's not.
Well, I mean, it's with planning staff, so I mean.
Yeah, but it's not public record that I could actually access myself.
Correct, but we can, since we're the ones doing it, we could send you a copy.
Yeah, but I don't know, I just think it'd be nice to kind of know what's going on. Since
We don't have that
Since it's basically it's all DHRC downtown stuff anyway, I mean.
And there's not that many administrative approvals, so putting together a list before y'all's meetings would not be difficult at all. And we'll certainly do that.
Go ahead.
Well, we've got a little time, I think. We reserve once a month for a meeting. This is not a conflict or a complaint, but it's my confusion. My insurance company for my home downtown historic, my insurance company called me the other day, and for their defense, trying to get my insurance to pay for this expensive Ludwicki, I may not have said that correctly. The tile is very expensive, and my company's wanting to just put some tiles up there, and so we've entertained getting some help. So they asked me to inform them of who handles the historic part and what the requirements are, so forth. And I'll be honest with you, it's not a complaint, but the average person, when I did some extensive Googling the other night to find some of this, and I guess we're part of this. This is a brochure, threefold brochure, excuse me, that the city has, and it says call the city for historic preservation. Having been on the Downtown Association Board, which all it seemed like I ever heard was TIERS projects, which are commercial, but this was dedicated to preservation of some homes and other things that fall outside of that. But all I've heard since I've been on that board and this board, primarily, now we had one today that they're doing some work on that house on that
Residential.
C. I fall in the other deal, but to check in for grants to see it, because I will not be able to pay for this Ludowiecki roof that I'd like to put back on there, or one that looks similar. So I'm looking for all the particular grants and so forth. So when they asked me who handles that, I said, I'm not sure. And here I'm sitting on a committee that I would think this is part of our responsibility too, but I never hear much about that, and where do people start? So my insurance company said they're gonna defend it, excuse me, not my insurance company, some of the roofing companies are gonna go to defend this, and they want this information saying, hey, this is a well-known architect and this roof, and I feel like I'm straddled with trying to do this. So I set out and said, well, how do you do this? This would be time consuming, and I'm not trying to put more work on you fellows, but is there a coordinating part of the city that can help people to line this up? It says go to the state historical, United States preservation, and I simply don't know where to start in this brochure.
Henry, don't you know about grants like that? I mean, aren't you familiar with historical grants and things like that? I mean,
Not really.
no?
And they probably change the rules all the time too, and so some of that's.
Is the city
So
or?
the biggest issue on your project is the fact you're in a historical district, and the DHRC zone, it's requiring you to put the same type of historical roof back on that building.
That's my understanding, that's my desire, not that it does not have to be necessarily Ludowiecki, but I wanted to look, Untitled Chapter, who has done our courthouse, most of the tall buildings, the cactus, and only 3 homes in town, but he has more impact than I think the one we hear
Well,
about.
does your house have historical designation on it?
Yes, from what I can tell, it was put on it before I bought it for San Angelo, and it's on the national, but I don't think it has the state. I think the state's hard to get, but it says in the brochure.
I thought my understanding of that was if you want to continue that to be on the historical registry, then whatever you do to it, you have to adhere to their rules. But if you don't want to get on there, which you can get off of it, then you can do whatever you want. But you're going to lose that designation as a historical.
Right.
I may be wrong on that, I don't know.
There is a consideration of the city of a 20% on the city part of the tax that if you had a $100,000 house, they'll tax you on 20% off that 80%. But again, you just hit it, is what do I tell the people trying to do this? Say, well, we'd like to see what we're gonna fight it and say it's a historical home and that they need to do that. And by the way, I'm not a novice at insurance. I've had insurance cover me for everything I can think of nearly since I've been 21 years, well before that. But I don't know really what to tell them.
My question is, how did this ever come up? That that the roofing company wouldn't put a different kind of roof on it?
Well, they came out and did a claim. They said,
Let me cut this off and get the meeting adjourned, and then we can continue the discussion, fine, just for public records reasons. The announcement of the next regular meeting, DHRC, is scheduled to begin on Thursday, September 16th, 21 at 10 a.m. in the East Mezzanine Meeting Room in City Hall, 72 West College Avenue. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, so we are in adjournment. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Now go right ahead.
Sorry.
Thank you all, 10:45.